Okay, and how do we do that? This verse tells us, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And remember that word transformed is what we get the word metamorphosis from. And the classic example is the caterpillar and the butterfly, right? It goes into that ugly, sticky stuff, cocoon, and then it comes out this butterfly. It totally transforms into something else. That's what we're supposed to do. Before Christ, we are totally in the world, loving it. Jesus says in John 3:19 that we love the darkness rather than the light, and we will not come out of that darkness because our deeds are evil. We love our evil deeds, and we know that if we come into the light, then the light will expose our evil. So we just stay in the darkness and enjoy our evil. That's the world. All of them. Everybody. You included before Christ. Okay, so that was you before. Now you come out of the darkness into the light by the power of the Holy Spirit, and now you are on another mission, which is to be transformed into the likeness of Christ. And how does that work? This verse tells us, by the renewing of our minds. Okay, this guy here, R.C. Sproul, his ministry is called, anyone know? Renewing your mind. Okay, we got that right out of Romans 12:2. The idea is you read the Bible. You pray for the Holy Spirit's illumination. You listen to good teachings. You go to good Bible studies. You have conversations with Christian friends who are maturing, and you renew your mind. And through that renewing your mind, the inside of you changes, and then from the inside, the outward actions, attitudes, things you do change. Okay. It's always an inside change first, though. When the outside is changed and the inside is not, Jesus calls you a hypocrite, right? That was the Pharisees. You look great on the outside, but inside you guys are dead. You're doing it all for a show. It's all outward. It's all not real. Okay. But when the inside changes, then the outside changes and it's real. Okay. Someone in this room, who I won't mention, we were talking last week after study, and she was telling me, I can't even listen to my music anymore. I can't even listen to it. It wasn't I'm not supposed to listen to this music anymore. It's, I can't even listen to this anymore. Okay, what happened? She changed on the inside. Same thing happened to me with all of my favorite sins. Okay, my graffiti, my music, I had thousands and thousands of dollars worth of music. I was called, after my drugs and all that, I was called a hip-hop-aholic. Okay? I would study the magazines. I would go on Tuesdays to the Best Buy or whatever, Circuit City, and if I had the money, I would go on Monday to Stediford's because they released a day early there, and I would buy everything new. Tapes. You guys remember tapes? Anybody? I had tapes, boxes. No, wasn't that old. I did have vinyl. 5 years old, putting on Michael Jackson, with the right, the record popping. I love it. All right, so tapes and then CDs, graduating to CDs, and now CDs are like, no one even has CDs anymore, right? Except for me, I give them out on Wednesdays. Other than that, you guys all have your MP3 players and your phones and your iPods, and CDs are phasing out. But here's the deal. I'd be listening to my music, and I could remember specifically which CD it was and which song it was when this was revealed to me. It was Ghostface Killer. The song was... That sounds funny. That sounds funny. I saw this guy live. You never listened to the Wu-Tang Clan? Okay, so you do know who he is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I had all the Wu wear and that. Yeah, okay, that was me. Yeah.
She doesn't have a clue, by the way.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All right, so it was Ghostface Killer, okay, and the song, I can't remember the song, I can remember the beat. He was talking about stepping in a puddle, and this girl was laughing at him, and he was about to beat the girl up, and he used a different word. Okay, and I realized, like, yo, what are you listening to? Like, and I was singing along with it because I loved it. Okay, but it was revealed to me, this guy's talking about beating up women. Like, what the heck are you listening to and enjoying? Like, but before that, never saw it. Just sang along with it. It was great. I loved the guy. Paid him money by buying his CDs. And I remember just like, it was like God turned on the light. And I tried to listen to it more after that. I'd pop it in, and I'd be listening to it, trying to jam, and it'd be like, this isn't working. And then here's what happened. God was like, well, God through another guy. This guy was like, dude, you got to get rid of all your CDs. And I was like, no, dude. I mean, I had thousands and thousands of dollars in CDs. Now, I'm not against secular music. I'm not. But for me, this is what I had to do. Okay, God was telling me, you do this. I'm not one of those weird, Christian dictators that says, get rid of all your secular. No, don't. Okay? If God's not telling you to don't do it, don't do it. But for me, he was like, do it. And I held on for a month, not listening to them, like in a bag. And I remember finally, and I was like, okay, I'll sell them to the used CD store. I remember that. Do you remember this?
You pass out the list like, hey.
But wait. But wait, I couldn't. I got convicted. I was like, I can't do this. Okay? And so I had to throw them away, and I can remember that's what happened to me. I can remember burning my old comic books. I got in this like weird sort of, I'm going to burn all my evil stuff. For real. And so like I remember having like a little sacrifice of all my old stuff. Like I used to love comic books, man. And like the comic books I loved were very, very violent. Anyone ever hear like Spawn or The Violator? Like the comic book was called The Violator, right? And in issue 1, the guy punches through this guy's head, and in the rest of the series, he has a guy's head on his wrist. Okay, that's the kind of stuff I was into. Very odd music like that in comic books, and I loved it. That's the kind of darkness that I was in. Very violent, very that kind of music, that kind of visual stuff. Okay, movies the same way. And then I remember being like, "This is." Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you. Christy knew me back then. So I can remember burning that stuff, okay? And my whole reason for telling you all of this is that when I came out of my darkness, okay, it was God that pulled me out. It was not for me like I have to do this. I wanted to. That's when you know it's real. Okay? Not when I have to stop doing this and I need to start doing this. Duty, it's probably not real. It's probably you're trying to force yourself to do something that God's not doing. But when God changes you on the inside, you have no choice. It's too late. You have to. You have to. Anyone know what I'm talking about? I hope you do. Okay. Remember Jesus said, it's not what goes into a man that makes him unclean. It's what comes out. For from the heart, lies, thefts, adulteries. When the heart changes, it's the same way. The good has to come out. And it starts inside, not outside. And so I don't think it's valuable when we throw a bunch of rules at people and say, you have to conform to this pattern of rules. Because without a heart change, you're just going to be a Pharisee. Full of pride and full of arrogance. But when God changes the heart, the outward has to change. It has to. Okay, so that's my prayer for you guys, is that God changes your hearts. That's what I pray for people. When they're sinning, and I know they're sinning, and I'm upset with them, my scolding them is probably not going to help. But if I pray for their heart to change by the power of the Holy Spirit, that's what's going to be effective. Okay, so that's what I do. That's me. Anyway, all right, verse 2b. Okay, and we do have at least a half hour. This is good. So we're not going to be conformed any longer to the pattern of this world, but we're going to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And we just talked about all of that. So then, after that, then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Romans 12:2b. Okay? Everybody, I talk to a lot of you guys, and a lot of the questions I get from the younger generation is like, how do I know God's will? How do I know what he wants me to do? How do I know what he doesn't want me to do? Should I be with this person? Should I not be with this person? Should I go here? Should I not go here? Should I? Okay, that's all in the realm or sphere of God's will. So let me tell you, just off the bat, here's what has helped me a lot. What has helped me a lot is that God does not have this straight line little tiny dot, perfect will for you. And if you step out of that line or get off of that dot, you're outside of God's will. That's not how God works.